Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tips. My name is Julian, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about players that you can add to your team to help you secure your win for week 5 of the fantasy hockey season. So in the first half of this video, we're going to be talking about players that can get you some points to help you improve your team for basically any type of league. And then we're going to talk about some goalies, and then we're going to get into basically a part that's just for categories league. Guys that can help you with shots on goal, then with hits, with blocks, etc. Before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Tips. I'm always releasing updates for you guys to help you as much as possible. Let's jump into the content now. So as you can see on the screen, there are 8 teams that play both Saturday and Sunday this weekend. These teams are Boston, Montreal, the Devils, the Rangers, the Ottawa Senators, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the St. Louis Blues, and the Vancouver Canucks. So I'm going to be focusing primarily on players from these teams. That way you're able to get a couple of games in instead of just one. So now let's talk about forwards that you can add in order to get you points. I have them listed in order in which I would personally pick them in the best chance to get me points. First, I have Jeff Carter of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's centering their top line in Pittsburgh, and he's been doing pretty well this season. He's shooting the puck a lot, and he's looking great on the ice, so he's definitely my number one pick at only 39% owned to pick up for this weekend. Next, I would go Brendan Gallagher of the Montreal Canadiens, who's been doing pretty well lately. He's been putting up some points, and he's another guy who shoots the puck a lot, so always has a safe floor for you. Then I got Brandon Saad, who's playing on the top line with Perreault and O'Reilly. That's definitely not a bad place to be playing, and he's looking pretty good lately. He's been putting up some goals, so he's been hot, so definitely a decent guy to be grabbing. Next, I got Nico Hischier, and he's been really hot lately as well. He's a guy who has a great shot and has 5 points in his last 5 games, so definitely a great pickup for Saturday and Sunday's games, and he's someone that you could possibly hold on your team for longer than that as well. Then I got Mike Hoffman of the Montreal Canadiens, who's been pretty good for Montreal as well. He's dropped off a little bit lately, but he's been able to put up goals for Montreal, and therefore is someone that I would consider pretty highly if I'm looking to pick up a player for both Saturday and Sunday. Then I'd look at Robert Thomas, who plays with Tarasenko for the St. Louis Blues. He gets power play time as well, and he's been looking really, really strong this year. Then I'd look at the second line for New Jersey, Janssen, Bratt, and Mercer, who are all playing really, really well right now. Don't mind picking up any of these 3 guys. Then I got Connor Brown and Stützle of the Ottawa Senators. Stützle is playing on the 3rd line now with Tierney, so I'm not as high on him as I used to be, but he's still getting top power play time, so there's that upside for sure. And Connor Brown is someone who shoots the puck a lot and knows how to score goals, so they're both definitely still pretty good options for this weekend. Next, I have Josh Anderson of the Montreal Canadiens. Been looking a lot better lately. He's a guy who also knows how to score goals, and he's playing on the 2nd line in Montreal, so he definitely has the opportunity to put up some points. Next is my Manscaped must-add player of the video, Tanner Pearson. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code word FANTASYTIPPED at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code word FANTASYTIPPED. Unlock your confidence, guys, and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Guys, the holiday season is approaching, so get your holiday shopping early at manscaped.com and use my promo code FANTASYTIPPED. You'll get 20% off, you'll get free shipping, and you'll get your Christmas shopping done early this year. Now, a lot of you guys might be thinking, why on earth is Tanner Pearson your Manscaped must-add player of the video? Well, the reasoning behind it is because not only does Vancouver play Saturday and Sunday this weekend, which is already great, they also have Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday off nights next week. And off nights next week are very hard to come by. There are basically no games on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday next week. So a team like Vancouver that plays on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday is incredibly valuable. So you can pick up Pearson to help you this weekend, and he'll also help you next week to help you win your next week. So not only are you helping yourself this week, but you're helping yourself next week by adding Tanner Pearson. And the same thing applies for his line mate, Nils Höglander. They both play on the 2nd line with Bo Horvat, which is a pretty strong line in Vancouver. They both see 2nd power play time, so they both make excellent adds for this weekend and for next week. Next I have Kasperi Kapanen of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he recently scored a hat trick and is pretty hot. So if he can continue that hot play, Kapanen is definitely someone that you should be adding to your team for this weekend. Next I have Craig Smith and Charlie Coyle of the Boston Bruins. They both get second line time and second power play time, which isn't the greatest in the world in Boston, but they're definitely guys that could potentially put up a point for you. And last but not least, I have Barclay Goodrow of the New York Rangers. Plays on the third line now. He's not getting that top line time anymore, but he still has a lot of potential. He's been doing pretty decent this year, so I don't mind him as a desperation add. And same thing goes with Sammy Blais. He is getting top line time, but he's not someone I love. All right, so what if you want to pick up a forward, but you don't have any room in your lineup on Saturday? That's honestly a pretty likely scenario. Okay, so these are players that you can consider adding on top of the ones that I already mentioned, just for Sunday's games. And first I have Sean Monahan of the Calgary Flames. Yeah, I know guys, he's seeing fourth line time as their fourth line center, but he is playing on their top power play, and he's getting actually a lot of points on that top power play. So as long as he's able to continue to get points on the top power play, he's not the worst ad in the world, at least just for streaming on Sunday. Next, I have Blake Coleman of the Calgary Flames, who's not seeing top power play time, but he's definitely someone who has the potential to put up points. He shoots the puck a lot, so he's definitely a pretty good ad if he is available in your league. Then I have Sonny Milano and Trevor Zegras, who both play on the second line in Anaheim. Milano's insanely hot right now, so he should be able to spark Trevor Zegras, and they both see power play time in Anaheim. Next I have Isak Lundestrom, who's pretty hot right now, seeing a little bit of power play time and is centering their third line. So obviously his deployment isn't the best, but the dude's pretty hot right now and he's putting up points, so don't mind picking him up around this range. Next I have Connor Sherry of the Washington Capitals. And I liked Sherry this week. I had him in my ads video. I told you guys he plays Monday, Friday, and Sunday. So he's a dude who's getting top power play time right now in Washington and is also playing on their second line. So definitely makes for a pretty good ad if you want to stream just for Sunday. Next is Kailer Yamamoto of the Edmonton Oilers, only owned in 6% of leagues, but he plays on the second line with Leon Draisaitl, so he's got a pretty good deployment right now, and he could definitely put up a point or two on Sunday. Next, I have Connor McMichael and Daniel Sprong of the Washington Capitals playing on the second line with Connor Sherry, and they're both seeing second power play time, so I don't like him as much as Connor Sherry, but they're definitely guys who could potentially put up a point on Sunday. And last but not least, I have Michael Backlund and Dylan Dubé of the Calgary Flames. Backlund plays second line, Dubé plays third, but Dubé's playing with the pretty hot Mangiapane right now, and Michael Backlund gets to play with Blake Coleman, so both have pretty decent deployments. Neither is my favorite option in the world, but they could both potentially put up a point for you. Jumping into some defensemen now, and first on the list is Colton Parayko of the St. Louis Blues. Why do I have Parayko here? Well, Krug is out right now, and because of that, Parayko is seeing time on St. Louis's second power play. That second power play is actually seeing a lot of power play time. Therefore, Parayko has a decent amount of value this weekend for Saturday and Sunday. Then I have Chris Weidman of the Montreal Canadiens, and he's 0% owned, yet he's one of the defensemen with the most upside this weekend, which goes to tell you that there's really not that many great options in terms of defenseman streamers this weekend. But Weidman is actually seeing a ridiculous amount of power play time on Montreal's power play. Hasn't really done much with it yet, but he's looked good if he passes the eye test on the power play. So if you've watched Canadiens games, you see that he actually does pass the puck pretty well on that power play, and he could definitely potentially put up a point or two this weekend playing on that top power play in Montreal. Then I have Ty Smith of the New Jersey Devils, and if Dougie Hamilton does not return this weekend, which I think he will, but if he doesn't, Ty Smith definitely has a lot of value because he does get to play on New Jersey's top power play. Next, I have Matt Grzelcyk, who has not put up a single point all season, yet he still has one of the most upsides out of everybody here because there's really not a lot of defensemen with upside here, and he gets to play second power play in Boston. Next is Artem Zub of the Ottawa Senators, and he had a pretty hot streak lately, but now he's kind of cold once again, so he's someone that you can take the chance on and see if maybe he'll get you a point or two, but I'm not optimistic of Artem Zub getting me any kind of points this weekend. Then I have Jacob Trouba, who's someone who gets PP2 time in New York, but he's not great at putting up points. His strong point is putting up peripherals. He shoots the puck a lot, he hits, he blocks. So if you need those three things and you need points, then Trouba is definitely the best option for you because Trouba can do all of those things. Then I have PK Subban of the New Jersey Devils, who sees second power play time in New Jersey. Even if Hamilton comes back, he should still see second power play time in New Jersey, and he's actually been pretty decent lately. So if you're desperate, Subban is not the worst option. So now what happens if you need a goalie for Sunday to help you catch up in goalie categories or to really just get you some points in a point-based league? First, I have Alexander Georgiev, and he plays New Jersey on Sunday, assuming that he doesn't get the start on Saturday. Next, I have Yaroslav Halak, and assuming he starts on Sunday, he'll play against Anaheim. You just got to go and make sure that these goalies aren't the ones that are going to be playing on Saturday, though. They're playing half of the back-to-back. You just got to make sure that the other goalie is confirmed for Saturday before you go and pick these players up. Then I have Jonathan Bernier of the New Jersey Devils, and the New Jersey Devils play against the New York Rangers on Sunday. Bernier's been doing pretty well, so assuming he doesn't start on Saturday, he makes for a pretty good start. Then I have Casey DeSmith, who plays against Washington, which is a tough matchup, but Washington has not been winning that many games, so DeSmith should potentially get the win that night. Next are Jake Allen and Samuel Montembeault, both under 50% owned. One of them is going to get Saturday, one of them is going to get Sunday start. And while the Habs have not been winning a lot, they're guys that you can consider. Next is Anton Forsberg of the Ottawa Senators, gets to play Calgary on Sunday, assuming that he doesn't start on Saturday. Definitely a really hard matchup, so only grab him if you're desperate. And last but not least, I have Joel Hofer, who should get the start on Sunday against the Oilers, which is an insanely tough matchup. It's possible that Husso gets it, but right now he's on IR, so pay attention to that. If he's activated before Sunday's game, it will be Husso that gets the start. Otherwise, it will be Hofer, but you have to be insanely desperate to be grabbing one of these guys against a stacked Oilers offense. So jumping into the Categories League section of the video, and what happens if you need shots on goal? What happens if you need to catch up a little bit on shots on goal or maintain your lead because your opponent's really, really close in shots on goal? Well, the number one guy I would grab is Jeff Carter. He was also the number one guy I would grab for points, so he can help you with both those things. He's been shooting an insane amount this year. He's been getting 3.8 shots per game. Next is his teammate, Jason Zucker. He's been getting 3.4 shots per game this year, which is really, really high. Then I would go with Brendan Gallagher, who's the guy who I also said will get you points if you need him. And he's been getting 2.5 shots per game, which is not that high, but in his career, he's a guy who shoots a lot, so he's someone I trust more than some of the other guys on this list. Next, I have Nick Paul of the Ottawa Senators, who's been shooting 2.9 times per game, which is pretty good. Definitely makes for a decent ad, and he could potentially get you a point as well. Next, I have Kasperi Kapanen, who's been very, very hot point-wise, and he's also been shooting 2.8 times per game. And then I have Tanner Pearson, who was my Manscaped must-add, and he shoots 2.8 times per game as well, so he has a pretty safe floor. So what happens if you need blocks? Well, the number one guy I'd go for is Artem Zub. He's averaging 2.8 blocks per game, which is really, really good. So over the 2 games, you should get 5 or 6 blocks, which should really help you secure that category. Then is Patrick Nemeth of the New York Rangers, who's been blocking 2.7 times per game. He's not going to do anything else for you, but if you need blocks, Nemeth is a pretty good guy to add. Then it's Damon Severson, who's been averaging 2.4. Then Tucker Poolman, who's been averaging 2.3. Then Ryan Lindgren, 2.2. Colton Parayko, 2.2. And Ben Sherratt with 2.0. Moving on to hits now, and the number one guy to add for hits, and it's not even close, is Zach Aston Reese of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been hitting 5.3 times per game, so he's definitely someone who can help you in that category. He's not going to do much else, but if hits are what you need, Aston Reese is the guy. After that, it goes Reeves, Clifton, Costin, and Trouba if you need some hits. And last but not least, what happens if you need some face-off wins? Well, Jeff Carter, who I also recommended for shots and for points, has been winning basically 12 face-offs per game, which is absolutely insane. So if you need to catch up in that category, Jeff Carter is definitely the guy to add. Then I have Christian Dvorak of the Montreal Canadiens, who's been winning over 10 face-offs per game, which is pretty good as well. Then Nico Hischier, Michael McLeod, Teddy Bluger, and Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.